I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here we are. I'm a 40-year-old guy, and I've been married to my wife, Sarah, for 10 wonderful years. She's 35, smart, kind, and my absolute best friend. We met through mutual friends back in our late 20s, and we just clicked. Our relationship has always been strong, filled with love, laughter, and mutual respect. But as much as I adore my wife, there's been a long-standing issue in our marriage that I've struggled to navigate. Our sexual incompatibility, specifically when it comes to oral sex. It's not like we haven't talked about it. We have many times, even in therapy. I've always enjoyed both giving and receiving oral sex, but Sarah just doesn't. And that's okay. Everyone has their preferences, and I would never want her to do something she isn't comfortable with. Over the years, I've learned to accept that it's just not her thing. I made peace with it. But here's the problem. Despite her disinterest in oral sex, she often makes jokes about it. She teases me about not getting it, makes playful but pointed remarks about how I must be starving, and sometimes even brings it up around friends in a way that makes me deeply uncomfortable. And every time I freeze. I don't know how to respond, and I certainly don't know how to make it stop without making things awkward or hurting her feelings. I'm not trying to change her. I just want her to stop making these jokes because, honestly, they hurt more than she realizes. For the longest time, I tried to brush it off. Whenever she made those jokes, I forced myself to laugh along, pretending it didn't sting. I told myself it was just her way of handling an uncomfortable topic, maybe even her attempt at keeping things lighthearted. But as time went on, the jokes started to feel less like harmless fun and more like tiny paper cuts, each one leaving a mark. There was one particular night that really cemented my feelings on this. We were out at dinner with some friends, a casual night filled with drinks and laughter. At one point, the topic of spicing things up in the bedroom came up, and someone jokingly asked me how I kept things interesting after a decade of marriage. Before I could even respond, Sarah smirked and said, "Oh, he knows better than to expect anything extra from me. Poor guy's probably forgotten what oral even feels like." The table erupted into laughter, and I laughed too, but it was forced, hollow. Inside, I felt humiliated. It wasn't just a joke anymore. It was a reminder that something I valued, something intimate, was being turned into a punchline. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying her words in my head. I knew then that I couldn't keep ignoring it. I needed to talk to her about it, but the fear of conflict kept me paralyzed. What if I brought it up and it only made things worse? What if she got defensive or worse, dismissed my feelings altogether? I finally decided to bring it up during one of our weekend coffee mornings. We had this tradition where we'd sit on the back porch with our coffee, just talking about anything and everything. It felt like the safest place to start a difficult conversation. "Hey," I began, setting my mug down. "Can we talk about something?" She looked up from her phone, giving me her full attention. "Of course. What's up?" I took a deep breath. "It's about the jokes you make about oral sex. I know you don't mean anything by them, but they've been bothering me for a while." Her expression shifted slightly, her brow furrowing. "What do you mean?" "I thought we were just having fun." "I get that," I said carefully. "And I'm not mad at you. But when you joke about it, especially in front of other people, it makes me feel, I don't know, like the butt of the joke. It's something that already makes me feel vulnerable, and when you tease me about it, it just makes it worse." She sighed, setting her mug down. "I didn't realize it hurt you that much. I just thought it was a way to lighten things up." "I know you didn't mean to hurt me," I reassured her. "But it does. I'm not asking you to change anything about yourself. I've accepted that it's not your thing. I just want the jokes to stop." For a moment, she was quiet, and my stomach twisted in nervous anticipation. But then she reached for my hand. "I'm sorry, I really didn't think about it like that. I'll stop." And just like that, the weight I'd been carrying for years felt a little lighter. Throughout this journey, I also found myself tackling other challenges in our marriage. One of them was learning to communicate better about intimacy in general. With the help of our therapist, we explored other ways to connect, finding new ways to make each other feel loved without focusing solely on sex. Another unexpected twist came in the form of an old friend, Mike, who went through a divorce over a similar issue. Seeing his marriage crumble because of unspoken resentment made me even more determined to be honest with Sarah about my feelings before it was too late. A few weeks after our conversation, we were at another social gathering when someone made a raunchy joke about relationships. I felt that familiar tension, half expecting Sarah to chime in with her usual teasing. But instead, she glanced at me, squeezed my hand under the table, and simply smiled. It was a small moment, but it meant everything. Relationships aren't perfect. Marriage, especially, is a constant work in progress. What I learned from this whole experience is that you can't expect your partner to read your mind. You have to speak up, even when it's uncomfortable. Sarah and I are stronger now because of it. No, she still doesn't enjoy oral sex, and that's okay. But she respects my feelings enough to not make a joke out of something that matters to me. And that's what love is, isn't it? Not about getting everything you want, but about meeting each other where you are, with kindness and understanding.